So good evening everyone, you're very welcome to Inside Line Racing for the start of a brand new season here with the ILR6 boys, starting where we always start off. As all great seasons start off, the Australian Grand Prix, and already we've got some contact with the barrier from Crazy Flying Rob, so that's off to a great start. My name is Graham, and I'm going to do my best to try and bring you the action from a new tier in the ILR Racing League. So a good turnout. You got 16 drivers, all looking to get their seasons off onto the right start. There's nothing worse than starting the season off on a poor note, and so it's important for these guys to start off as best they can and finish as high as you can. But of course, that goes without saying. So while the guys are doing their out laps and starting some of their quali laps, I'll try and quickly run through some of the teams. In the Ferrari, you've got Jacko and we've got Mr. Crumpet. In the Mercedes, you've got Baza and Murdoch F1. In the Red Bulls, Crazy Flying Rob and Ant Attack. The Williams pair of Dazek and Rixie. Force India's of Stellion, and Jack is hopping into a Force India this evening as Crazy Flying Rob provisionally goes pole with a 26.5, only to be knocked off by his teammate with a 21.5. McLaren, TGIP, or plays against Danskar, both squaring off. Iverberg Mike is in the Renault tonight. Anything else to note? As times are flying in here everywhere across the board, I'll try and run through the rest of the table. I have it in front of me. Our reserves drivers are Stellion and Dogs, by the way, so that's worth pointing out. Dogs there in the Sauber, and Stellion comes very close, those Dogs, to Daziek. I'm going to try, apologies if I butcher some of these names, it's a lot of new names for me, so you have to forgive me. But look, he got very close there, the Dogs, to him, to the Williams there, as he comes across. Is he going to set a lap time? Does. He moves up to 9th place with 26.6. So we've got a couple of split strategies here so far. We've got Plays on the super softs. He's in 3rd place at the moment, and Baza trying his luck on the softs. Everyone else has gone for the ultra soft tire. So interesting to see if the likes of Plays and Baza, will they change their tire choices come their second runs, or third runs for that matter, as Daziek again is off the grass. So he's not had the best start so far. Is there anyone come close to the end of a lap? The judge, South African I believe, rounds the final turn and bears down the main straight. ERS just about used up, and he moves up to 9th place with a 25.8. As Anti's into the pits, Will Stellion, he's coming through sector 1. Is there anyone getting close to the end of a lap? Danskar is getting close. I'll just see if there's anyone else just about there. Looks like he is the closest one, so let's see, we'll go with him. I think Dogs is on his out lap as he dives into the pits. But how Danskar, can he improve on his 23.2 on those ultra softs? ERS is just about worn. He'll make it in time, and he goes into 2nd place with a 21.9. That's a good lap from Danskar, but he is 4/10 off of Ant Attack in that Red Bull at the moment, as they all begin to come into the pits to begin round 2 and put on a fresh set of tyres. Majority will be doing ultra softs, but actually, as I say that, Iverberg Mike, it looks like a set of supers he's thinking about putting onto that car. So interested to see if these guys, we've not seen a whole lot of split strategy so far, just a less than a handful. Will they actually see it out? 11 minutes left in qualifying. We shall see. Is anyone actually on a lap? Yes, the judge has gone for another lap, but it's a 25.6. I think it might have been invalidated. Oh, he comes extremely close, and there is contact, and he spins into the wall. No, he doesn't. He manages to save it, but very, very risky stuff. I'm not sure who that was. Was that Daziek again? No, it wasn't. I'm not sure who that was. Was that Mercedes in the end? I'm not too sure who that was, but I think it was Rixie. Yes, it was. So very, very close to contact there, and there actually was as he went into the wall. But thankfully for him, for Judge, he's not obtained wing damage. He managed to keep it out just about. He can continue touring this circuit, but I think he's obviously that lap will be certainly ruined. So he'll have to try, and I assume those laps two laps old now. He might not have been on the lap regardless. So those ultras, you don't want to take too much out of them in your qualifying runs. 1 or 2 laps, 2 laps at most. You don't want to be doing any more than that anymore, and you're going to be damaging your race tyre. Dan's car gets himself ready for another flying lap. No, he doesn't actually. He's actually coming. This is the in lap. I think he's actually run out of fuel, so of course he'll have plenty of time to get back out there and get another run. I believe Jack is on the run now in the Force India, that beautiful, glorious pink Force India. We got flag at sector 3. Anyone off the track or recovering off the track? No. Just throwing out false alarms. Jack is coming up to some traffic, I believe that is. Well, the Judge is there limping his way back to the pits. In front of him there's a Red Bull, has to get off the throttle, possibly being affected by the dirty air of Ant attack. And he backs out of the lap, and he gets into the pits, so he's going to start from the back anyways. I think he wanted to do was Jack. So here's Ant then, starting another flying lap. He's on provisional pole convincingly at the moment. Can he separate himself further from the field? Another yellow flag, sector 3, and crazy flying. And Rob, his teammate, is out, so not too sure what happened there. If we, of course, F1 2018 being fantastic, we can't see the retired car in the wall to see where it might have occurred, but we'll plough on with Ant's lap then. Is he any improvements shown in the first sector? Hard to tell, the game not giving the delta there, but he's taken all the right lines. ERS, of course, deployed to the max. Very low amount of fuel though, so he's probably underfilled the car a bit for maybe just one flying lap. Make the most out of his traffic in front of him. Mara Messi gets out of the way as they fly through possibly the most difficult part of the track. He's going very cautiously. Ooh, that might be an invalidation, and he loses the back end but manages to catch it and backs out of it. So a very difficult part of the corner, turns 11 and 12. They are going to be a death magnet. I've seen in many other different leagues, and even online, and 5 lappers online, just those 2 corners, 11 and 12, that quick left right, it will eat you alive if you don't show the respect or take it in the right way. I think we'll see a number of drivers fall victim of that tonight. Mr. Crumpers, meanwhile, he's on a fast lap. Almost uses in fact his ERS will be depleted by the time he gets down to the start finish straight. How much will that affect his time? Can he improve on this 23.2? He can. It's a full second quicker at 22.1. Moves him up to official P3, and Stellion is into the barrier. I believe he's had a scrape. Yes, he has. There's a wing damage. There's no wing on that Force India. And again, like I mentioned, at turns 11 and 12, the quick left-right. And maybe Stellion can count himself lucky that he hasn't lost a wheel in the process as Murdoch bears down on the main straight. I think he's actually just to get the start lap busy, or if he didn't improve. Baza still out on those softs. Yeah, still out on those softs. Plays as well hasn't come out yet, so he's getting close to the end of a lap. We're going board Dogs, 26.6 so far. Looks like he's going to be a massive improvement, and it is a 23.7, moves him up into P7. As Baza has to navigate traffic, or as if there are better ways to get out of it, get out of the way when you're a slow car. And I think Baza is just going to pull into the pits. About Mara Messi, and that Honda Power Toros goes very wide at the last corner and doesn't improve on this 24.3. Who else is getting close? Mr. Crumpus, is he on another lap? I think he actually went for a second one, didn't he? He's got the ERS too, or is he just limping his way? Is that a few raindrops I see? I thought I saw a raindrop or two. Interesting, have to keep an eye on that. As Dan's car, the closest man so far to Ant. Currently not on a lap, you can see his deployment is in medium. You can see there number 2 in the bottom right corner, showing you what kind of deployment he's running. If you're, for example, either Mike, Harrison DRS, he's in 0 deployment. And you can see here Mara Messi using the hot lap mode, the full deployment, so actually you could tell who was on a lap and who is not. Oh, Murdoch's ass scrape at the wall, and there goes his wheel. So again, it's the exit, that's the exit of turn 5. So drivers have to be careful. The rain is coming down, actually you can see it now, it is raining now. So it's going to be very, very difficult for these guys to make improvements on their laps. You really have to be on one right now, essentially. And if you'd be looking to even improve after that, as Mara Messi does make an improvement at 23.9, but his tyres are 4 laps old. So those are going to be quite hurt into the races. Ivan Mike with tyres, I think he knows that it's going to be impossible to improve. Is anyone going to be able to improve? Well, Jack said lap, he's on a 3-minute lap at the moment, so I don't think he'll be setting stars alight. This is an invalidated lap, I think, in the end. Stellian now surely is the only one who could even come close to the top 3 before this rain affects this track too much. As he rounds the final corner, having to lift off slightly, and this doesn't look like it's going to be improvement at all. Actually, it's going to be a 30, isn't it? So I think we are done, unless you've done a horrifically slow lap. I think we are done seeing the lap times improve as Dogs heads into the pits. Mara Messi on an out lap, Baza in the pits, Judge on an out lap, Rixie on an out lap, Daziek couldn't improve, 2 seconds off on his previous time. So if you're either Mike or even Daziek at this stage, yeah, it's tough. There's nothing really you can do. The Judge, I think, will be the last one to cross the line, but you can see I think he's had enough somewhere. Maybe this is his out lap actually, because he's only going to do he's actually done 25.1, but I think, or 25.6 rather, which did improve, I think, on his time according to the Delta. But this game, you know how this game likes to be, it's probably just toying with me. So you can see Mara Messi limping very slowly through the second sector. Has to be very careful not to obstruct others, and that's one way to do it, is to drive off the track. See the track, I think it's getting a bit slippy. And as more and more drivers are retiring from the session now, knowing that they can't really improve from here on out. How about Rixie as he rounds the final corner? And no improvement for Rixie on the super soft, so his gamble on the supers has not paid off. He will not be starting inside the top 10 on those tyres at the very least. He does have free reign, of course, to choose, since he is outside the top 10. That is his right of choice. Of course, if you didn't know, the top 10 begin the race in the tyre they qualified on, so the likes of Plays, he'll be starting those super softs, but anyone who's qualified outside the top 10, they have free choice of tyre. They can go for a new set of ultras, softs or supers. So it'll be interesting to see how the field strategize from 11th onwards. No improvements there. Well, actually there was an improvement, half a second improvement actually for the Judge, so 25.1. Still not enough to really lift him out of 10th. Stellian's pushing, and he's lost the back end, and he's into a wall, and he has lost his front left, and he will be playing no further part in this qualifying. So there you go. Again, that twisting section, that quick exchange of 11 and 12, catching drivers out in dry conditions, let alone when you add a little bit of rain to the equation. As the Judge is still out on the lap, though I'd say it'd be surprising now to see him improve from here. Ant-Attack is out on the track, isn't he? So the provisional pole sitter deciding to have a go on a brand new set of ultra soft, so this will be interesting. We'll see if this track is really losing any pace or not. I assume it is, but let's see what he can do. He's the only man, I think, actually. Well, the Judge and Rixie are also technically on laps, but can they improve? Or is this rain just literally for aesthetics and the track hasn't actually been affected? Let's find out as the Judge bears down a train. I think he's going to improve actually. He does. It's a 24.6 for the judge, but that is still not enough to lift him out of P10. So try as he might, he's had no luck getting out of there. So interested that the rain, you can see, it's fallen. But some drivers still able to find improvements on their current time. So if it has lost performance, the track that is, it hasn't lost a ton. Not to the point where other drivers can improve, but can Ant, I'll be very impressed if Ant can improve on this 21.5 in these conditions. As the session begins, the tick down, 4 seconds, 3 seconds, and the checker flag is now out. So everyone is finished other than the judge, Rixie, and Ant squirming his way through sector 3 as he rounds the penultimate corner, drifting a little bit wide, but he's going to try and finish the lap. He is on provisional pole, so anything here is a bonus for Ant. He comes across the line, it is going to be a 23 flat, so the track is losing time and he wasn't able to improve, but he is on provisional pole, and that's not going to change now with the judge backing off and slowing down. So there you go then. An interesting qualifying session indeed. That has seen Ant take provisional pole in the new ILR6. It is Ant from Danskar in second, Mr. Crumpin in third, Stelly in fourth, Murdoch fifth, Plays in sixth, Dogs in seventh, Mara Messi in eighth, Baza at ninth on the softs, and point to mention Plays in the supers as well. The judge in 10th, Rixie 11th, Rob in 12th, Daziek 13th, Jacko 14th, Mike 15th, and then Jack bringing up the rear in 16th, as was the plan. So how much did he, so 3/10, basically 4/10 was the pole margin in the end. There's a huge gap as well from 5th onwards. Second off is Murdoch, and then there's a big drop then, 2 seconds plus from there on out. So there is a little bit of field spread, so you shouldn't be surprised. Looks like a beautiful dry race. So we get to see some of these strategies at play from Plays, no pun intended, and I think it was Baza on the softs. So expect Baza to run quite long on those softs. A very good race tyre, that soft compound tyre. As well as Jack, JSG at the back. He's also said he was going to run long and trying to get in the way of fighting for points and the such. So he's just here for a bit of fun because he had to host the lobby. So we're just waiting the drivers to make any setup tweaks, their strategies, and those starting outside the top 10. They have free reign over their tyre choice, so it'll be interesting to see if anyone goes for the ultras. But we are ready to go. The formation lap is on, and away we go. Only Rixie is starting on the ultra soft outside the top 10. Everyone else, Rob, Daziek, Jacko, Mike, and Jack, they are all on the super softs, which is a very decent race tyre in itself. In terms of these ultra softs, they're okay for a few laps, but you will see the soft compound tyres, or the super softs rather, first begin to kind of creep into their own and take over as the best tyre to be on. Around lap maybe 4 or 5, possibly 6, depending on how well you can save your ultra softs. But it will be, that time will come, so it's about, if you're the likes of Plays, you just have to bide your time, because the tyre, it will come to you, but you just have to be patient with it and not try any risky moves. The tyre will come to your advantage. Same with everyone else really starting on the super softs compared to the ultras. Patience is key in any overtake. Timing is everything. And we'll see how well these drivers' timing is today in terms of strategy, in terms of overtakes. How will their ERS management, how will that go? How will their fuel management go? Lots of things to think about. The tyres. F1 2018 presents a lot of different variables, throws a lot at you to manage, and whoever can do that best has a good chance to come away here with a good result and start the season off in the right way, as Ant leads them round. Almost runs wide on the formation lap. A couple of naughty people on the formation lap getting disqualified, lads. That's a little. Come on, it's a formation lap. Can we all behave? Can't be that hard. So here we go then, as the disciplined school children, as it were, just sat on the grid waiting for everyone else to back up. And takes his place ahead of Danskar and Mr. Crumpet. Of course, the other thing to bear in mind with the guys like Plays and Baza is that the guys in the Ultra Class will have possibly a better getaway on those tires. But here we go then. A new season of ILR is about to begin. Anthony's in the front. And away we go. Looks like a decent start. As they file their way down to their first corner, how will they be behaved? There's a 14 going up the inside. That's Stellian. And he's through on Mr. Crumpet. And Danskar's lost out as well. Mara Messi's up a spot as well. Oh, there's a McLaren off the track. And there's McLaren's out. It's Plays. Plays is out already on lap 1 on the super soft. So already we have seen a casualty coming out of turn 1. Looks well behaved everywhere else though, as they file their way through. Got Baza squeezing through on Dogs for P7. And more scrambling down the back. And oh, Rixie is off as well. And he's lost power at that front wing as well. So disaster start for him. As Ant leads the way from Stellian, from Danskar, Mr. Crumpet, Murdoch, Mara Messi, Baza. Oh, is there an overtake going on here? Mr. Dogs, or Miss Dogs, excuse me, and Baza having dinged on for P7. Of course, Dogs on a much better tyre at this stage of the race, but that will change as time goes on. Hounding that Mercedes as they file their way for the first time through turns 11 and 12 with a cut there from Baza. And Jack and Daziek, oh, very risky place to go racing side by side. But of course, Daziek has got wing damage, that's why he's struggling massively through that section. Both Williams nursing wing damage early on. As Iverbrin Mike just creeping behind the judge, who has a big lock-up, almost runs wide with his ant-attack, leading the way on lap 1, 9/8 his gap from Stellian, Danskar, Mr. Crumpet. And the rest filing through. Is that Rob getting close to move on? Jacko, ooh, had a sniff, but wasn't able to get the move done. No, DRS, of course. Oh, there's a car on the wall. That's Dogs. He somehow actually, I think maybe just about avoided contact with the wall as Jacko and Rob go through. His wing looks intact. Oh, tries to fly back, and there goes his wing. That's wing damage there. Now you can see it flying across the road. So after avoiding wing damage on the first clatter, the second one is what does Dogs in, and now Rob will be pent up behind him. And there is Sauber, the judge, also looking to defend himself from Mike. So a couple of battles going on here early. Two Williams boys are in the pits. I believe they're stacking, so that won't be helpful. Actually, no, they've just been released, so they're out on soft and super soft tyres respectively. So leveling out a bit at the front. The gaps you can see begin to emerge there, 1.3, 1.8, so it's spreading out a little bit as Mara Messi just creeping a bit closer now to Murdoch in front of him. We got Mike and the judge side by side into turn 13, and Mike has got that move done and moves up into P11 on those super softs. No damage for the judge, he just looks like he's nursing a bit of understeer. As Ant continues to set the pace out the front, his gap is 1.2 seconds ahead of Stellian, and Danskar another 2 seconds behind that. Meanwhile, Mara Messi is getting a little bit closer. Yellow flag in sector 2, not sure what that's for. I'm guessing one of the Williams is off. Not too sure. But Mara Messi just not close enough this time to Murdoch as the DRS is enabled this lap. We got Rob going by Dogs for P9. Oh, a little bit of contact from the back as Daziek is out of the race. I've got Jack as well, side by side with the judge as well, coming through turn 5. Oh, just about squeezes through. It's all happening. Mr. Murdoch and Mr. Crumpet and Murdoch. That is all confusing. And Messi's got by now as well, but he runs very wide. And Mr. Crumpet goes through. I'm just going to Crumpet from now on because that's too much hassle. Crumpet goes through. And Baza also makes his way through Mara Messi. So Mara Messi looking to put some pressure on in front of him. Has lost a lot of positions here on lap 3. Oh, and Mike is out. I'm not too sure where that was. I think it was just behind Jack here, so yellow flags all over the place. Crumpet has lost another position now to Jacko. It's all kicking off here on lap 3. It was very quiet to begin, but it's all kicking off now. Absolute carnage. We've got 3 cars out already. I'm not sure where Mike lost it. It was definitely before the section of 11 and 12, as a poor exit for Rob out of that final corner puts Dogs right on the back of him. He's chosen not to come in to repair that damage. The DRS is enabled, overtake mode enabled, and down the inside. Will he go? Oh. No, he backed out of it in the end, so thought he might have gone for it. And Crumpet's off the track. Crumpet's had an off at turn 1 and turn 2. And it goes bad to worse for Crumpet. Now down at P12. So disastrous start for him. He was running quite well up the front, near the front, and now going backwards as Mara Messi looking to put the pressure on Baza for P5. Gap is just 2 tenths. Of course, the difference of tyre, ultra soft versus the soft. You can see it's still the quicker tyre this phase of the race, but we're getting close to the time where the super soft tyre will be the one to be on, and the ultra soft begins to overheat a bit. Meanwhile, Jack putting the pressure on Dogs in P9, got a little flag at sector 2. Looks all clean though through turns 11 and 12 as they file their way through again for the 4th time. As Jack now looking to put the pressure on Dogs for P9. Of course, we know Dogs is nursing that wing damage. He's decided to carry on. May as well, to be fair, on the ultra soft. No point coming in super early to a point where you know that maybe the soft or the super might not get you to the end of the race. Just come in when your scheduled lap or your scheduled stop is due and change it then. But he's hanging on to P9 for the moment, so he's driving well. It's Jacko getting close now to Mara Messi in P6. DRS enabled. Hasn't got overtake mode enabled. He's running in low deployment, so interesting to see the different strategies going on. This phase of the race, big lock up there for Dogs again. And he's coming under increasing pressure from Jack behind him. As Crumpet is in the pits, looks like he's putting on himself soft compound tyres. They should go to the end from here. Meanwhile, overtake mode enabled for Jacko to go down the inside. No, had to think about it. But eventually back down, runs a little bit wide and has lost a lot of ground now to Mara Messi, and that is his attack put on hold for the time being. A mistake coming out of turn 9 puts off his challenge for P6 for the time being. Oh, there's been contact and there's 2 cars on the wall. Jack is out, Rob is out, and Dogs is also in the wall. The rest of that wing is gone. I think there may have been some desync at play between, I think it was possibly Dogs and Rob, and has collected all 3 of them, Dogs, Rob and Jack, and they're all out of the race. Again, that section of 11 and 12 catching people out, and we already have 5 retirements in 6 laps as Jacko gets by Mara Messi because Mara Messi is into the pits to ditch these ultra softs. So he's the first of the kind of front runners of the top 6-7 to make a scheduled pit stop, and the super softs go on that car. It's going to be a big ask to get those to the end, so possibly a 2-stop might be a play for Mara Messi. We shall see. He'll feed out in a comfortable P8 with Dogs coming into the pits to change that wing. Super softs also going onto that Sauber, as well as a fresh nose cone. And he will emerge into a comfortable P9 as well as Crumpet. It's rounding the final corner on the soft compound tyres. But I have to say now, between Dogs and Mara Messi, well, Mara Messi is well up the road, you can see, but Dogs be lucky now to get those to the end. Those super softs will be very, very tired come the end of the race. And if Crumpet, I don't think he'll have to pitch again. Those softs are a very durable tyre, so he can go to the end if he can maintain it and not pick up any further wing damage. Yellow flag in sector 3. Oh, Dan's car is off the track. He'd make wide at the last corner. As Rixie is now out as well, so we're down to just 10 runners after 7 laps. So a mistake for Dan's car somewhere. He's lost a lot of ground, but thankfully he hit it for himself. He had a lot of ground really to lose. 5 seconds behind him is Murdoch, and then Barry 2 seconds behind him. At the front, it is Ant still leading from Stellion, just 1.6 seconds. So Stellion keeping good pace here with Ant so far, but it's behind them where things are dropping off a bit. 5 seconds to Dan's car, 5 seconds to Murdoch. Oh, Baza, I have to keep an eye on Baza now, the gap between Baza and Murdoch, because those soft tyres will come into their own and those ultras are beginning to fade at this stage of the race. The gap you can see is coming down just slightly. It's 1.8 seconds now, so you can see the advantage of the soft tyre now coming to the fore. In the midst of all that, it'll be interesting to see Mar Messi. Of course, he did come into the pits for a scheduled stop. How much of an undercut can he get now, possibly on the likes of Baza, who we know will go long, so he'll get a very decent undercut now from him. But can he make an impression on Murdoch now in fourth, or is that a little bit too far away from Mar Messi? We shall see when they make their pit stops. At the front, a bit of a twitch at the back end for Ant. He continues on though. And the same with Stellion. Stellion's actually fallen away a lot this lap. The lap times at 29.5 for Ant at 30.6. And Danskar's off the track again. It's the same area of the track as the second to last corner. And I think what is happening here is his carcass temperature on that ultra soft, I think it's gone. I think it's absolutely had enough. And now he's going to be really struggling. If that's the case, he's going to be really struggling for rear grip. But Baza and Murdoch both go through to P3 and 4 respectively, and Danskar now be lucky not to lose any more places this lap. They off in sector 3. Oh, Crumpet's out. I can only assume he has possibly retired at the 11 and 12 corners. The fast left right would be my only guess as to that. You can see the safety car working very excellently tonight. We've had lots of crashes and it is still waiting in the wings. Bernd Mailander must be frustrated not to get some burn in that beautiful safety car. You can see a nice bit of debris there in the middle of the track. But meanwhile, Baza, you can see now how quickly the advantage has switched between Baza and Murdoch in terms of tyres. 0.8 of a second. A bit of a corner cut there from Baza. You're not for the first time tonight. Will Murdoch let him go, or will they fight this out? Very risky business, of course. And your teammates fighting off. See, that gap was 2 seconds a lap or two ago, and you can see how Murdoch is struggling for traction as Ant comes into the pit. Stellion continues on, and Murdoch, he decides to continue. So despite those tyres looking absolutely shot, he's going to continue on. This should be a very simple move for Baza in the end of the slipstream. The DRS down the main straight, and that's Baza up into P2 on those softs. And this is the point of the race where Baza will come into his own against those on the ultra softs. Jacko and Danskar is into the pits to finally get rid of those ultra softs. Says soft compound tyres going on that car. Ant is also upon the says softs and emerges in P4, so he'll go to the end. Our Messi moves up into P7. Of course, Danskar will emerge into a handy P8. So as long as these guys can actually finish the race, points are up for grabs. So keep it calm, keep it out the barrier, and you'll be walking away with some good points here tonight. Interested to see if Baza can make some sort of impression on Stellion. Obviously he's a long way behind, 11 seconds, so despite the strategy differences, it'd be hard to imagine Baza catching up to the back of Stellion at any point in this race. But Baza could be on for a good result here. A podium is not out of the question yet. Of course, we have like it's lap 9 at 29, you know, we've got 9 drivers left, so I think we could see 1 or 2 more be claimed victims. And there's Murdoch, he's in the wall. That is just coming before, I think that's turn 14. And that is Murdoch in the wall. Again, I think he's taken those ultra soft tyres a lap too far. And has paid the price. I think the carcass temperature, I think, just got too far away from him, and his his misery is compounded by a 5-second stop-go penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So not exactly going to help his mood either, as the judge comes into the pits to also ditch those ultra softs and exchanges them for a set of soft compound tyres, and just about squizzes in the head of Murdoch there. Of course, had to change his wing. So these two will be racing then on pit exit. I have to be careful because Dogs is in this battle as well. Murdoch trying to go for an overtake out of the pit lane, runs wide, and I think both Sowers, will they get through? Around the outside is Dogs. We won't have DRS, of course, but he has the inside line. And Murdoch, does he back out of it, try to hang around the outside? And Dogs then has the inside line, will take that position. So feisty racing for Murdoch to be trying to race out the pit lane. And look, fair play. That's what you know. Once you cross the, once you're out of the rev limiter, the technical pit lane exit, where you disengage the limiter, it's all fair game, as far as I know. And it's certainly all fair game between these two Saubers, the Judge and Dogs, battling for the pride of Sauber. And a very good run actually for Dogs out of that turn 9 and through turn 10 they sweep. Very risky part of the racetrack to be racing, and they're going to go for it. Oh, swooping round is Judge, so good move there. Oh, and almost losing the back end as Dogs. He actually was on course for a really good exit, but the back end wanted to step out and he did a good job to catch it. And their battle can continue. Very tentative line there, and kicking up a wheel on the grass is the Judge, and Dogs has to back right out of it, and that leaves him into the jaws of Murdoch. But Murdoch's just very tentative through that last corner, didn't want to take it, and now going down the inside is Dogs on his teammate for P7. Can he make the move stick this time through turn 1? He can. On exit though, can Judge fight back? No, doesn't look like it, but he has got overtake mode enabled. But I think the DRS of Dogs has just taken him a bit too far away from him. Had a sniff to Judge, and that's put him into the grips of Murdoch. Have to get a beautiful helicopter shot as they swoop their way through this Albert Park for the 11th time of 29. It's the battle for P8. Absolutely beautiful shot through this. Technically street circuit is Albert Park. This is not a permanent street circuit, it is or it's a permanent track. It is a street circuit put together every year, and it's one of my personal favourites. It's a very nice track. Just extremely tentative is Murdoch through that section, and for good reason, because we've seen how many drivers have absolutely stuck it in the wall, or some sort of accident has happened coming out of turns 11 and 12. And it bears no harm to give it respect, to give it that caution. There are points on the board for everyone here still racing. And an accident will of course wipe all of that away. Meanwhile at the front, Baza is being caught by Ant, of course. Baza has not made a stop yet, neither has Jacko. They're the only two to keep, well, not to make a stop yet basically. 11 lap old supers for Jacko. He'll be getting close now to his pit window, whereas Baza can go on for a little bit longer, but not before Ant catches him. I'm sure Ant will have got this move done before Baza pits. So Ant has to take this carefully. This is not a car he's racing for track position really. Oh, very squirmy exit for Baza, and that's going to bring Ant right onto the back of him. See a couple of drivers struggle in that corner, and Baza is the latest one now, as no DRS enabled because Ant wasn't in the activation, wasn't in the second activation zone, and Baza is going to try and fight this, goes defensive as Ant sets a fast lap, and he swoops around the outside. And a beautiful move to take the lead of this race. Of course on fresher tyres, you could expect that, but a beautiful move nonetheless to swoop around the outside. Always dangerous, always risky when there's a car on your inside. A good move by Ant to retake the lead as Jacko comes into the pits. I said his pit window will be coming soon, and there it is, lap 12 heading on to 13. He puts on a set of soft compound tyres, and he should easily clear this battle between Dogs, Judge and Murdoch, who are all very close together between 7th, 8th and 9th. And Jacko feeds into a very lonely kind of part of the track where he's 17 seconds behind Mara Messi, who's right behind Danskar. That's the second. We've got Murdoch making a move on Judge into turn 1. And there you go. That is Murdoch into P8. And the Judge now effectively last on track. But yeah, a very lonely part of the track for Jacko. 18 seconds behind Mara Messi and 7 seconds behind, or ahead of Dog. So that could be a very lonely P6 come the end of the race. He could literally just go into a mind of his own really. He can look to save his ERS, his fuel, his tyres, He's in complete control of his own destiny from this point onwards. No one around him. He can enjoy the next 15 odd laps of this Albert Park circuit, although he has to be careful to avoid doing that, picking up a 3-second time penalty. Got yellow flag in sector 3. Oh, and Dogs again coming out of turn 12 has made contact with the wall after losing the back end, I can only assume. Luckily for him, his 4 wheels are intact and he can limp back to the pits and replace that wing. To be fair, he was looking at a second stop anyways. I doubt those supers would have lasted till the end. Same case with Maramessi in 5th. I don't think those supers will last to the end either for him. He could be due for another stop, but for now, Dogs certainly due another stop to replace that front wing. And Baza picks up a 3-second time penalty. Stopping nice and early this time. Dogs doesn't want to pick up a penalty. I'd assume the soft compound tyres will go on that Sauber, and they definitely will go to the end from here. May as well have a look, to be fair, nothing else going on. Soft compound tyres, a fresh nose, and away he goes. Far behind everyone else now at this stage in P9. So at this stage now, the only thing to really keep an eye on now is when Baza pits and where he will emerge after his pit stop. He'll probably feed now. If he doesn't feed ahead of Maramessi in 5th, he'll definitely, or for 4th place rather, he'll definitely feed into 5th place in this nice little gap between Jacko and Messi. So I think that's where Baza will end up, and his pit window can't be too far away now. Lap 15 on those softs. 3.2 seconds is gap to Ant, and Ant is a long way ahead of Stellion in effective P2, and I think that's because Stellion, I think he's missing part of a front wing on the left hand side. I think he is missing some front wing on that Force India, and I think that's why he is struggling a bit. Let's see if we can get a good view of it. I think it is hard to see properly. Yeah, you can see it there. Definitely part of that end plate missing. So Stellion can be nursing damage from here on out. His only blessing is he's 9 seconds ahead of Danskar, who is in 4th place. So that's the gap Danskar has to make up between now and the end of the race if he wants to crack at what effectively will be P2. I think once Baza pits and Baza continuing for another lap. Another lap yet. 15 laps old are his soft compound tyres, a tyre that pretty much everyone bar Maramessi is on, and he's going to have a difficult job to get those to the end. What's his time he's setting? 28.6. And for reference, with Jacko on fresher soft compound tyres, let's have a look as he comes across the final corner. And sets at 28.3, so not too much difference in it, to be fair. Despite Maramessi having actually a lot older tyres, has to be careful not to mount that curb at turn 5 too much though. Definitely a part of the track where it will spit you out if you find yourself up on it. We've seen a couple of cars actually tonight even get launched by that turn 5 curb. Easy to happen, it is very easy. In the same way that losing it through this section coming up turns 11 and 12 is very easy as well. You can see Maramessi giving it plenty of respect. Oh, this is fantastic. What a beautiful shot this is. The lines of the track, the scenery, the trees, the lake. Absolutely beautiful. Sometimes words aren't necessary. As he bears down on the straight once again. So field has spread out a lot, which is unfortunate because it doesn't give us exactly the most entertaining race in the world, especially with 12 laps to go. So Actually, it's going to be hard to come by from here on out, I'd imagine, unless for some reason there's a safety car, which, considering how we've lost 7 cars basically, hasn't come over any of those, so hard to imagine we'll see it here. Baza does have to pitch, so it'll be interesting to see where he comes out, and if Mara Messi has to pitch again, his position will be interesting where he ends up, and if he can make any charges on some fresher tyres. As Baza rounds sector 3 through turn 14, I believe, and through 15, but not through 16 to complete another lap as he comes into the pits as Ant sets another fastest lap of the race. Baza finally coming into the pits for his scheduled stop and takes a very cautious entrance into the pits. Super softs going on that Mercedes. Where will he feed out? He'll feed out behind Danskar. I think he should get ahead of Mara Messi though. No, well he will, because Mara Messi is diving into the pit, so I thought maybe he had to make another second stop, and indeed he is. So that is BP4 for Baza. And what's the gap between him and Danskar for a spot on this podium? 9.5 seconds it looks like. That's the work he's got to do, and he's got 11 laps, 12 including the one we're on, to do it. As Mara Messi sticks on a second set of super softs and just comes out just behind Jacko. So I think Messi's got a better chance to hunt down Jacko than possibly Baza hunting down Danskar, but we will see. We will see. Lap 18 of 29, you can see the gap that Ant has pulled out over Stelly in 17 seconds. He has just absolutely breezed his way into this position. That gap is getting only bigger and bigger. Flag sets through. Oh, Baza is out. Has he come a cropper at turns 11 and 12? We'll go on board with Jacko to see if that's the case. I can only imagine that's what's happened. No, the wall of turn 10 on the outside. Extraordinary. That's one place to have an accident. That's the first time I've seen that in F1 2018. How has he managed that? Because I don't think he was near any other car. That's extraordinary. So unfortunate for Baza, because he was looking like in a good position, possibly to make a charge at a podium spot, but no more. He's out of this race, and that elevates everyone from Messi onwards to, well, a spot up really, and Jacko as well. The gap is 2.7 seconds between Messi and Jacko. I'll have to look at the lap times next time they come round. Just 8 runners remaining in this Australian Grand Prix with 11 laps to go, including the one they're on. Maybe we're closer to 10 and a half. Or just 10 if you're in the case of Ant, 20 seconds ahead of everyone else. I want to see the lap times here for comparison. I want to see what Ant is doing in comparison to Stellian, who I think is actually coming under pressure from Danskar. So of course we did know that 25.8 from Ant. We did know that he is running wing damage, is Stellian, and now that is really beginning to take hold. I actually had forgotten that detail when I saw the gap had jumped up to 17 seconds. So of course Stellian is nursing wing damage. 25.8 was the time from Ant, 28.3 from Stellian, and 27 flash from Danskar. So I think Danskar's going to be making the move soon for P2. Just the wing damage is just too much for Stellian. Meanwhile, I've got Messi on the back of Jacko. He's caught him up quite quickly on those super softs. Let's look at the lap times as they trundle their way through. See much more grip that Messi has, and we think he actually get moved on before the start finish straight, I believe. He gets through. He's gone defensive early. Has marked as Jacko. Oh, there's contact between the two, and has put Mara Messi off the track a bit. His wing looks okay, but he certainly won't be happy at that. It was aggressive defender from Jacko, you have to say. And Messi will have to wait another lap to have a go, but surely it's a matter of when rather than if. He's just all over the back of him. The tyre difference even though those softs are only 7 laps old, just the fresh supers won't compare to those. Ooh, takes the on the grass a bit was Messi to try and get to the inside line as much as he can. Look for any sort of advantage he can get over Jacko. He has to be careful, he has to be patient here, does Messi. Doesn't want to go for moving the wrong part of the track, and he's extremely cautious through that turn 11. So cautious, but look, the upshot is he has like a sector 2. Not sure what for. We'll have to keep an eye on Danskar and Stellion as much as we do Messi and Jacko. This is for P4, this is for 12 whole points. So neither of them want to throw this away. A collision certainly might do just that. But Messi looks like he's not close enough through turn 1. How about getting down to turn 3 though, on the wheel on the grass for Jacko? The DRS for Messi is open and he'll swoop surely down the inside. Low deployment, surprisingly. Trying to sneak through. And Jacko, I think he backed out of it, so just not enough tyres left compared to Messi for Jacko, and unfortunately that was a losing battle from the moment he got within that DRS range. Meanwhile, the battle for P2 is on with Danskar, I think he's going to call him Dan, and Stellion. Of course we know Stellion is rocking that wing damage for a lot of this second stint, and now finally Dan has caught up to the back of him, and sooner rather than later you'd imagine a move will be taking place. DRS activated, overtake mode activated, and before the turn is done, that is Dan into P2 ahead of Stellion. And Stellion, I think at this point can just afford to just relax and just take it easy on those tyres. If he wanted to, he could come in, make a pit stop and we go for a fastest lap if he really wanted to, because P2 now will be out of his reach, and Dan will surely just drive away into the Australian sunset. Although a lot further along that Australian sunset is Ant. Oh, he's out! Ant has crashed. He is out of the Australian Grand Prix. The race leader, leading by an absolute mile, has lost it coming out of turn 12, the chicane. One absolute shocker. He was leading by 24 seconds. Cruise control, he could do anything he wanted to, and he has put it in a wall. Absolutely extraordinary scenes that caught me off guard completely. Was not expecting that, and all of a sudden that move just became a lot more significant for Danskar. He has moved into the lead of this race, 2 positions in 1 lap. And now Stellion moves up into second, and Mara Messi, once he navigates this chicane, will move up into third. Absolutely extraordinary scenes at the Australian Grand Prix in round number 1 of ILR6. Absolutely extraordinary. A country mile separate Ant from Danskar, and somehow he has managed to throw it away with just 6 laps remaining. Absolutely incredible. I thought this race might have been done in terms of drama, in terms of overtakes, when Dan got by Stellion and when Messi got by Jacko, but no. Boy, was there another shock on the cards. And how so? And how so? Incredible. So, we're down to 7 runners. I thought there might have been 1 or 2 more to come a cropper in this race, and sure enough, there we are. 7 runners, with Danskar leading the way from Stellion, from Messi, 30 odd seconds behind that, Force India, Jacko in 4th, Murdoch 5th, the Judge in 6th, and Dogs in 7th. I believe the Sauber pair are the only 2. They're the only 2 constructors to set apart this. Like, both their cars are still running. 2 Saubers are still running. So some good team points for the Sauber team if they can maintain what they have. I believe that will be 14 points, 8 for 6th and 6 for 7th. Handy 14 points to start their campaign. Of course, it won't quite be the full 25 that Dan Scar is looking at the moment, but as if Antis just proved us anything, it is that you're never out the woods yet until you cross that line and that checker flag is waving. You are never safe. And so I'm surely Dan would have taken note of that, and he can afford to take it easy. He probably won't know that Stellion has got wing damage. Maybe Jeff might come over the radio and told him. Not too sure. Jeff is one to sometimes withhold information that he may or may not know. But whether he does know he's got wing damage or not, he will know that he's pulling out 5 seconds over Stellion, and that he can just afford to just take it easy and just cruise for the remaining 5 or so laps. As we round on to lap number 25, only a few laps to go. Jacko, meanwhile, he hasn't fallen too far back of Messi in 3rd. And I believe he does have a penalty, so always good to keep that in mind. Should, for something, whatever reason, happen to Messi in 3rd where he's off the track and he gets overtaken, there is a penalty to contend with for Jacko. The good news for Jacko is that Murdoch is a few car lengths behind in 5th, 23 seconds, so Jacko could get another 5 penalties if he wanted, and he'd still be safe for that P4. Very cautious entry for Dan Scar, and rightly so. I don't know off the top of my head how many cars that has claimed tonight, but it's definitely multiple cars claimed by that turn 11-12 complex. Turn 5, the right-hander at the end of sector 1 has also proven to be an area of difficulty in this race. The exit of turn 14, surprisingly, has also been an area where drivers have struggled with tonight. What else? We saw Baza somehow end up on the wall on the outside of turn 10, which was a first for me to see that. All of a sudden though, somewhere along the way, Dogs, he's just 4/10 behind his teammate, the Judge, in 6th. A battle, yes, excellent. Let's do it. The two Saubers battling away for P6, and P7 kicking up a wheel on the grass is Judge. Not too sure why this gap is very close all of a sudden, although Dogs is running a few lap fresher soft compound tyres than Judge as they make their way through turn 9 and sweep through. Actually, that could be turn, let me get this right, I want to make sure I get this right. Yes, it is turn 9, it's all the one, and then turn 10 is the long left-hander. 11 and 12, they've safely negotiated once again. Then down turn 14 after navigating 13, back there. File their way through. Braking for turn 15 where we saw Sebastian Vettel lock up, it was Sebastian Vettel lock up and run wide. You just seen the Judge lock up there. Didn't run quite as wide as Vettel, but Dogs now going for a move down the inside. Got the race leader behind them as well. They've got to take care of these two. And that has Dogs into P6. And now Judge will have to get out the way, and he does do very kindly off the track and lets Dan Scar through. So they're a lap down now is the Judge, and Dogs won't be too far from the same fate himself. Lap 27 of 29, this Australian Grand Prix in ILR6, and there you go, pull off to the side, adhering to the blue flags. Good job from Dogs to let the race leader safely go by. That will surely be the last hurdle for Dan Scar to clear, barring 3 more trips through turns 11 and 12. You can almost taste that champagne that he's not going to get because Codemasters, you know. I'm not too sure. I need to have a look at the. I would like to have a look at the lap times between these two because I mean, Dogs and the Judge. Because how he caught him so quickly. Bear with me. Nothing else to do at this stage. 30. So he's in the 30s consistently. And Dogs, the 20. Yeah. So yeah, possibly no surprise then. Not sure why the lack of pace difference between the two is so steep. But at least Judge is consistently in the 30s and he's just on a 30. Well, to be fair, he was off the track on this lap, to be fair, to let the leaders through, and you can see Stellion in the background coming through as well, but I don't think he'll reach the Judge in time. Lap 28 or 29, the penultimate lap. It's been a very interesting race for sure. We've seen plenty of accidents, plenty of shocks, I have to say, with Ant. 24 seconds in the lead he was and just lost it coming out of turn 12, as many other drivers have had the same issue today in this race. Who's had a quiet race? To be fair, all these drivers have had kind of interesting races. They've had some sort of debacle or another. I think Dan's car was actually off the track at one point, wasn't he, before his pit stop? If I remember correctly. It's been a lot has happened this race, so I'm probably remembering some events incorrectly, but you know, Stellion's had his wing damage, Messi's done the 2-stop today, Jacko, well, he's just had another off there, so right on cue. Murdoch is at a spin. Dogs and Judge, they've also been in the wars, haven't they, today as well, but they're still going as Danskar begins the final lap of this Australian Grand Prix. One more time as a yellow flag sector through as Jacko off the track again. So struggling on those tyres, he has to be careful. It's down to turn 3 is Danskar. It's been a very interesting race for him, as I said, but at the end of the day, didn't matter that he wasn't the quickest, but he kept the car on the track and was the most consistent, and through that he is going to claim the full 25 points. For Stellion, well, a case of what could have been, really. That wing damage has hampered him massively. Did he have the pace over Dan over the duration of this race without the wing damage? It's hard to say because obviously he spent a lot of this race with that wing damage. 19 laps. I think he spent most of those 19 laps with that damage. The win could have been on for him today after Ant retired, but it is hard to say as Ant rounds the final sector for the final time. He's negotiated the final hurdle of turn 12. As he rounds turn 15, it's going to be the dream start for Danskar. Rounding the final corner, he's going to cross the line and he wins the Australian Grand Prix by a convincing margin in the end. Stellion, he's going to pop home and take home P2. Could have been more today, I'm sure he'll feel, but 18 points nevertheless to kickstart his campaign. And how about this, a podium looking like for Mara Messi, having started from P8. A very, and well, actually the only driver really to try the 2-stop, really, the scheduled 2-stop. He's going to come across the line for a handy 15 points, so a good result for him. Jacko will be next across the line. From having to update the game just before he came on to P4, he's weaving, so I'm assuming he's happy enough then with that result. Dogs and Judge, they've already finished their race, of course, because they are a lap down, which means Murdoch could almost basically stick it in the wall and he'd still be classified ahead of Dogs and Judge, because of course Dogs and Judge finished on lap 26 and Murdoch is on his 27th lap, and nothing that Dogs and Judge could do would actually ever put them on that 27th lap because they're lap down. But there we go, that is the race finish. these guys in for a podium interview, but there you go. Dan Scar, top man, top step on that podium. I'm sure he'll be delighted with getting those full complement of points at the first ask, starting the season off the best way he could possibly imagine for, with a race win. So, take you through the order. It is Dan Scar who's won the Australian Grand Prix ahead of Stellion, ahead of Mara Messi in third, Jacko in fourth, Murdoch fifth, and a lap down is Dogs and the Judge. So we'll try and get these guys into the party. For some post-race questions. Lots of interesting racing going on, so good to hear from the drivers after the heat of battle. Hello. Good result. We're just going to wait for some of the other guys to join the party. That's it. Just before we start, if your audio settings isn't on share, just make sure it's turned on so the people
Can you hear me?
can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you. Just make sure your voice is on allowed to be shared. Otherwise, the stream
Yes.
won't
Yes.
won't hear. I'll just see if Stellion will join us. And there you go. Just saying, Stellion. If your voice is not allowed to be shared, just make sure it's allowed to be shared so that the rest of the stream watching can hear it. How do you do it? If you go to, I think it's broadcast settings. It should be no, it won't be in game. It'll be on the on PlayStation. I think it'll be off by default. If you go to audio sharing settings, it should be in one of those. So we'll play on anyway. So Dan, well, first of all, what was your reaction when you saw Ant in the wall coming out of turn 12? You must have thought Christmas had come early.
Well, I was really surprised. I thought he was gonna win the race because he had great pace, and I wasn't sure if I was gonna catch him. Probably not, but I got really lucky that he retired. I mean, it's obviously sad that he retired, but also really lucky for me.
Oh yeah, I'll take it, I'm sure. How was your race looking other than that? You looked obviously fairly set for, looking at P3 for a bit, then there was damage to Stellion in front with the wing. Talk to us about your race from your perspective. How did you feel it had gone up to that lap where you did Stellion in one lap and then later that lap went by the three-wheeling Ant there?
Um, well, first of all, I was really surprised that Cillian was going really slowly and I was catching up so quickly. I didn't know if he had front wing damage or something else. And it was really lucky as well that he had front wing damage. I mean, it's obviously bad for him, but it was really lucky for me. And when I passed him, I was like really hyped because I was in the lead race and tried not to bottle it.
We saw a lot of people bottle it at turn 12, the fast left right. How cautiously were you taking that tonight? Were you, when you saw Ant go off, were you thinking, ooh, it's got him, maybe I need to be extra careful to make sure it doesn't get me now that I'm in the lead?
Well, I was like, what would I say? I still wanted to improve the gap, so I wanted to make the gap bigger, but also make no mistakes and like drive safely in that way.
So heading on to, I think Bahrain is next. What's your hopes for the season? What do you hope to achieve in ILR6 this season? What's your ultimate goal?
Well, my ultimate goal is obviously to win the championship, but I'm also gonna have to work hard for that because there's really, really good drivers in this ILR6. Stelly and Mara Messi, obviously, Ant and Bassa, Crumpet, GGI Peter. They're all great drivers, so it's gonna be interesting to see how the season goes. But yeah, obviously, I'm trying to win the drivers' championship, like everybody else as well, and also trying to win the constructors for McLaren.
Well, you got off to a good start tonight, anyways, with the race win, the full 25 points. So congratulations, great result, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Coming to Stillian in second, you were nursing you were nursing wing damage for a lot of that second stint. How did that happen? How did you pick up that damage? Because arguably it cost you the win. It could have cost you the win tonight. Stallion? Is he there?
He's gone probably.
So, if he's not there, then we'll just move on to yourself then, Dave. You were the only driver, Dave, to do the two stop instead of the one. Was that your plan coming in? And did you think it backfired on you? Do you think that was the right decision in the end, or how do you feel your strategy played out today? Yeah. Well, it worked out in your favour in the end. You had to get some overtakes to get it done, though, as well. The first stint looked a bit nerve wracking as well. So, how did you find kind of navigating the way through the field and getting some overtakes done? Because you have to say you worked. Yeah, you did definitely worked for this P3 today. Oh, Jacko. Very good. You got a very good result here today. How are you feeling then heading into Bahrain? Very good. Wishing you all the best there again. If you feeling confident for a podium, you think you could do it again? Well, best of luck. I'm just hearing Stellian actually doesn't have a microphone in his house, so I think that's going to do it for the podium interviews. And that's going to do it for round number one of ILR6 at Australia. Coming up next in ILR, 8 o'clock, there is races from ILR4 and ILR3, I believe. So you can stay right here on ILR. Those live streams will be kicking off soon enough. You can look forward to those both around Australia, where hopefully we'll get to see more great racing as we did here today. So until next time, signing out.